So you've had an exciting last 12 months, including announcing the Series B that I just mentioned. Also release key enterprise feature like auto-tune and just also launch your own model. So I'd love to talk about all of this. And maybe starting with the core of what you do. What is speech to text, I guess, and speech recognition?
Yeah. So at the core of what we're doing right now is focusing on making these AI models that can transcribe and understand spoken audio data at scale. So we've processed almost 2 billion audio files through our system to date. There's something like 100 million plus a month flowing through our system. And these are a mix of virtual meeting recordings, user-generated audio and video content, podcasts, contact center, phone call recordings. Like, it spans the gamut. And who we work with are product teams that are trying to build features and products on top of the audio data that's either being generated or flowing through their system. And so we're training and creating these AI models that can do that really well and reliably at scale with all the bells and whistles and features that product teams need to ship really quickly. I think, I can stop there. I can go more than
No, that's great. So maybe to double click on some of the things in terms of use cases. So there's audio content, there's video content, there's virtual meeting content. There is conversation intelligence. So just give us more color on what exactly people do.
Yeah, so there's a couple of examples I can give. So we've got over 1,000 customers, tens of thousands a month of developers that are building with the API. And this is everything from contact centers that are trying to provide insight into the massive amount of phone calls that are coming through their contact centers that support agents and customers are having, so they can be analyzed at scale. This is video editing platforms, adding subtitles to videos, basic use cases like that. We have hiring intelligence platforms that are recording interviews. Maybe you guys have experienced that, and providing automatic notes, follow-ups, action items, all based on the transcription. Really, what companies are doing, there are some use cases that product teams are leveraging our models for that are just you're automatically converting audio into text and you're displaying that as subtitles, or you're displaying the transcript for readability or accessibility. But where a lot of value is created is you're taking the transcription and then you're using it as an input to do something else. I think of a contact center platform that's building automatic text message follow-ups that you can, when you go into your UI as a customer, you can just click send, and they're all automatically generated and customized based on the transcription of a voicemail or of a phone call recording that happened. So it's transforming, it's applications that are being built on top of the text, on top of you're turning the audio and video into a more pliable format that you can build with.
Yeah, and as I was prepping for this, I noted a whole list of really interesting features: summarization, sentiment analysis, entity detection, topic detection, content moderation.
Yeah.
Maybe pick one or two of those that you think are particularly helpful.
Yeah. So I think more broadly, what we're seeing is the company's been around for a while, but there's just this insane amount of demand right now, and product teams are really trying to figure out how to leverage all this AI tech to build new features, to tell a story to their customers and to the market that they're forward thinking and they're leveraging AI in their products. And there's a lot of exploration that's happening. And I think similar to the comment that was just made, product market fit is a question. are summaries of a virtual meeting helpful? Is a transcript of a virtual meeting helpful? Is an automatic text message of a phone call recording, like follow-up, helpful? There's a lot of exploration that has to happen, and there's a lot of iteration that has to happen. And so our value proposition, this comes back to your question about the models that we offer. I think it's more about what we're trying to do is help product teams iterate very quickly to figure out what's going to have product market fit and what's going to have a commercial success for them, create a lot of value for their end users, for their customers, and help them win. And so what we think about is we're trying to help product teams execute 10 times faster and ship 10 times faster, so they can figure out where they need to focus. And so to your question, where our customers have found product market fit, we then lean in and support those use cases with really tailored, like expert models. And so, for example, we have summarization models that are really good for two-party conversations in contact centers. So if you have a two-sided phone call, support agent and a customer, we have summarization models that can do those really well. We have a lot of video editing and video hosting platforms and podcast hosting platforms that use our models, and we can create summaries that are really good for like automatic chaptering of spoken content. So like really catchy titles, really good descriptions of what happened within this like time-coded segment. And so where there's product market fit, we focus on creating like tailored models for those use cases. And then we also have these like an LLM that is more tailored for conversational data that is like not an expert, but our customers can use and product teams can use to explore and see like what even works well. And so we try to focus across the board. Like the reason why we spend so much time on our automatic speech recognition models is because there's a lot of product market fit there. And so it makes a lot of sense to like be incredible at that and really help our customers excel there and continue to deliver value there. Some of these other things that are more exploratory, like we're not going to put a ton of effort into those until we see that our customers, the developers that use our API, are actually able to find value and create value with those. So back to your original question, today we have a number of different models around PII detection and redaction, entity detection, sentiment analysis, automatic chaptering of content, summarization of content. We can detect sensitive content that's spoken, so like hate speech, content that's sensitive that trust and safety teams are using to automate content moderation at scale when there's spoken audio in a platform. So it really runs the gamut, but it's really all around transcribing and understanding audio with AI models and making that available to product teams and developers through our API that's really easy to work with.
Yep. And how do you think of the balance between building your own models and leveraging open source? Is the fundamental value proposition is that, hey, you want to solve this problem, and we Assembly will bring the best state-of-the-art model to the task. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Or is the value proposition is like we will build the best model?
So this is where like there's so many. You asked a question in the last chat. Like there's so many market maps of like AI right now, and I think it's really the picture is like fuzzy, you know. And I think people are trying to make sense of it, which is why they're making all these maps. But like the picture is still fuzzy and. Yeah, I was prepping for this. I think you had some tweet where you were like, this is what an AI company is. And there's like shades of gray in between. Not to put you on the spot.
I will require, going forward, like every speaker needs to read my tweets before coming here.
Exactly. What we like to go out and tell customers that we talk to, and our stance is like, we're not a research lab. You know, we're not trying to just work on AI research and like develop secret molecules. We're really focused on helping create commercial like success stories. like leveraging AI models. So that's why when I talk about our customers are product teams. And yeah, there's a ton of developers that use our API to play around, to tinker, and ultimately build startups, build projects that turn into actual businesses. And then like the people that we end up working with there are the product managers and the product teams, because we're helping them ship products and ship features. And so to your question, sometimes we will train models from scratch when we need to make something better than what's available. Other times we'll take something open source and we'll fine tune it with a data set that we accumulate, or we'll make modifications to it to make it faster, more performant, more scalable. It really depends. And so, but we try to be very transparent about that. So we shipped this Conformer 1 model a couple of weeks ago. It's this large scale. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, I'd love to spend a good amount of time on Conformer 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
which is your own LLM. So a lot of
automatic speech recognition model.
Yes.
Yeah.
But a lot of the models that you talked about so far, and correct me if I'm wrong, were pre LLM wave. All the way back to like early 2022.
Yeah. So
but now in addition to this, you're adding your own LLM.
Correct. Correct. So we think about our product. We have kind of these three categories. So we have our, if you go to our like product page or pricing page, there's the core transcription. So those are our automatic speech recognition models, audio in, text out, asynchronously or real-time streaming over WebSockets. And then we've got what we call these audio intelligence models. And so this is what I was referring to earlier, these task-specific, really streamlined models. So PII detection and redaction, sentiment analysis, tailored summarization models for specific type of summaries. These are lightweight, so they're cheap to use, they're cheap to host and run. They're not these like giant models because they're just focused on specific tasks, where our customers are finding product market fit, leveraging them within their applications and their products that they're building. And then where there's more exploration happening, we leverage like large language models that can be applied at many different tasks with varying degrees of quality, but they're flexible. But back to the Conformer 1 model, with that model, for example, we really wanted to push forward accuracy with speech recognition models, particularly to make them more robust, have lower variance, just be overall better. And so we took this neural network architecture called the Conformer. It was published by Google Brain, I think in like 2021.
Yeah, which was a speech-to-text version of Transformers, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a like transformer-based neural net for automatic speech recognition. And
there was Transformer in 2017 and Conformer in 2018. You just said 19,
early 2021, I think. Late
2020.
Late 2020. I'm not exactly. It's around there. And we made some modifications to that neural net. Like that was just a paper. Like the weights. There's no like model release. It was just a paper. But we did a literature review and chose that neural net for some specific reasons. We made some modifications to it, and then we just tried to scale it up. So we trained it on like 60 terabytes of audio data, like labeled audio data. So it's, I think, something like 650,000 hours of audio data. And our models prior and most commercial speech recognition models trained on like 50,000 hours. So this is like order of magnitude larger. And then we're actually training Conformer 2, or what I might call it 1.5. But whatever this successor will be is training right now, and that's something around 4 million hours of labeled audio data. So we're just like scaling it up pretty aggressively to increase the robustness and accuracy of the models, because that's our core, like primary value proposition right now is our automatic speech recognition models. And it's not just the model, so we provide a lot of features around it. So if you go to our API, you can hit an API endpoint to get like all the sentences split out. You can get the text broken out into paragraphs. You can quickly redact the text. You can fan out audio files to process like a ton in parallel. You can real-time stream. You can get speakers annotated and labeled. You can get really precise word timings and confidence scores. There's like dozens of features that we provide around the model to make it really easy to build with and work with. And so that's really our flagship model that we offer today. And then the other models that we offer around like summarization, those are really for customers that are trying to work with a single partner to help them just ship really quickly so they can explore and figure out how they're going to leverage this AI tech to build new features, expand their customer base, grow their revenue, like have a success story that has product market fit.
Yep. And out of curiosity for Conformer One, how did you get the training data? Is that internet data or is that customer data, presumably with all the privacy and safety?
It's a mix.
Yep.
So it's a mix of data that is from the internet. It's a mix of data that's been shared with us from our customers. So some customers don't care and prefer that we train on their data. So for the ones that do, like I said, we've processed, it's like over 100 million audio files a month that are flowing through the API, and that's growing pretty quickly. And then there's a lot of open source data sets. We kind of just like group it all together and use a combination of that.
It's really interesting. I'm a big fan of the concept of data network effect, and always interested in examples of companies that work collaboratively with customers to pull data to help the AI get better.
And it's like what we see with Conformer 1, for example, Conformer 2 that will launch, and there might be like a series of launches before we switch to a different neural network architecture. You can throw more data at the model and you get better robustness, and it's like generally more accurate. But proper nouns, for example, those are really important for applications that are built on top of automatic speech recognition models. And the percentage of proper nouns in data sets is actually like low distribution. And so you might see a big reduction in just overall like error rates, but you might not have really moved the needle much in email addresses or phone numbers or proper nouns. So we also look to focus on because we're not a research lab, because we're really focused on shipping models that product teams can just like quickly go with and build with and like not have to deal with a lot of the headache. And there are definitely some companies that want to like build everything themselves and figure it out, and that's fine. But our opinion is that the tech is turning over so fast. So if you're a company and you're like in the contact center space and you want to try to ship summarization in your contact center so that when like your customer support managers are logging in and reviewing calls, they don't need to like listen to every single call. They can just like boom, quickly go through like some 2-3 sentence summaries, or like automatically have some calls flagged that are potentially problematic. If you take 6 to 12 months to ship that and then there's no product market fit, that's a huge waste of time and resources. And so our opinion is partner with a company like us. You can get that out in 3 months, like 2 months, 3 months, depends how slow they are. Like you can get that out quickly and see if there's product market fit with that, and if that's something you should even consider building in-house and bringing in-house. But like right now, companies have to iterate quickly if they're gonna stay competitive. And if they try to do everything themselves and build everything themselves, they're not gonna be able to go quickly enough. There's also just like a big delta in being able to do like train a model on a single GPU and like actually fan out the experiments you need to run across like clusters of GPUs and try all these different types of hyperparameters and groupings of data. Like that's like a whole different level. And so that's really what you have to kind of commit to if you're going to start to take this stuff in house, because none of the tech is done yet, right? Like state-of-the-art automatic speech recognition still has like a 15% error rate on a lot of data sets. And so if you try to build all this in-house, what are you going to do as the tech continues to improve around you and you don't have the capability to keep up? So that's what we try to offer as a value proposition. Like, we'll be the expert. We'll deliver all that to you so that you can just keep shipping. And so that's why we focus on not just how do we make like these, we don't just focus on like vanity metrics, but we focus on things like, okay, we want our models to be really good at email address. Like they're right now not, right? So in the future versions, they'll be better at email addresses and like domain names and like these like the long tail of things that are spoken.
Yeah, I really like the positioning that you've explained very well, which is to deliver to product people as opposed to developers. You know, for founders and investors like me, there's really that question of how you build companies in the space that have a sustainable competitive advantage. And so presumably there's some competitive pressure from the cloud vendors who all have some kind of a speech-to-text product, but selling to developers. Would it be fair to say like you're sort of the last mile that focus on the application layer and the no-code aspect of this while...
So we do, I mean, it is an API, right? So like the developer has to do the integration, but I think like, you know, like Datadog, right? They're selling to like a VP of engineering, right? Like you need to implement application performance monitoring, you know, Lightning. You're probably selling to like, you know, a VP eng. The people that sign our contracts are VP products. It's just a different customer profile, but the developers are involved, right? And especially in the long tail and startups, like it is the developer is the product person. They're the founder. Like, you know, back when I started Assembly, I was the developer, like, and the CEO, and you're just doing everything. And so we try to focus on really good developer experience. It's easy to just like get up and running. Actually like there's a ton of room for improvement that we can, we still have to make, but you know, we're seeing like tens of thousands of developers register to the API, like, you know, every month. So, but to your point, because we're really focused on, we're really customer focused, we're building the features into the model, around the model, into the API that just make it easier to ship with and build with. And I think that customers feel that, developers feel that, and that's ultimately why they choose us. In a way that like, I just don't think, you know, I'm surprised the big cloud companies, and apologies if anyone here works there, I'm surprised they can't ship, you know, better developer products, but I think they're maybe just too big at this point. Yeah.
Great. So maybe as a last question from me until I open up to folks, I'd love to take a big step back and just like talk about what you find exciting in the space, you know, whether that's products or projects or companies or what
Did you see the AI Drake song that was just
released? Drake and The Weeknd. Right?
Yeah. That was exciting. So my wife was using ChatGPT over the last like week to build a Chrome extension. Like, she's not a developer. Built a Chrome extension. It's like published on the Chrome store. Is now building like a whole like Python app with Flask. Like, it's crazy. So I think that it's just a really exciting space to be in, and it's a really exciting it's a really exciting time. Like, regardless of where it goes, you know, to your question of like, you know, how soon are we going to have AGI, right? Like, I think there's a lot to still figure out. Regardless, I think there's just a lot of really cool things happening. I mean, the fact that you can create images like that, the fact that you like, you should, if you go to our website and you click, there's like a link on the top, it says Playground. You can just throw in like a YouTube link. You can drop that in and then like pretty quickly get like a very accurate transcription and summarization of that. There's just a lot of really exciting developments happening, and I think for me it's a cool space to be in and to just be in that. Yeah.
And by the way, the website is particularly good. There's lots of great content there. Like, you guys seem to be doing content very, very well. So
thanks. Yeah.
Thanks on that. All right. Do we have questions? Yep.
Thank you. So I have a question. There are libraries like Whisper from OpenAI, which are basically free. How do you compete against that?
Yeah, I mean, we really like to look at it from a from like a zoomed out perspective, which is like, if you're just trying to tinker and play, it's great. You can like pip install Caldi, or there's a number of open source speech recognition models. Whisper is one as well. We looked at like creating a version of Whisper and deploying that behind our API. We actually, I think, published, made a contribution to JAX to make it like 10 times faster to train Whisper. What we really are offering is to developers and product teams, not just a model, but like we're keeping you on this like trend line, right? So if this is an important part of your stack, you can't just like ship it and forget it. It requires constant maintenance. Like, even if we were just deploying and managing Whisper for you, that still would be like valuable potentially, because you don't have to manage fleets of GPUs or CPUs. You don't have to deal with like hallucination issues that models like Whisper have, because it's a sequence to sequence model. And like I said too, even so our conformer model, like if you look at our blog release, we compare it against Whisper, like other commercial providers, and it is more accurate. But I don't like to focus on that, because all these models still have to be improved. They're all like 15, sometimes even 20% error rate. And so when we talk to product teams and we're like, hey, you're going to ship this, and what we're going to offer to you is to keep it up to date, like constant improvements. Like I said, Conformer 1.5, 2 future models are coming out. I mean, this is like, got like 40 people full-time working on this, you know, and you're going to get all the benefits of that. And then there's just a lot of features around our API and what we offer. But I think like I think it's all complementary, you know, in my opinion. So I don't think it's like a binary decision. I think there's sometimes when like Whisper's cool to play with and use, and there's other times when you need a more like production ready service. And that's what we aim to be.
All right, one more question here.
Thanks a lot, Dylan. Really interesting to hear you talk. It sounds like there are like 3 core parts to like the differentiation, the value prop of the business. Part of it is like really impressive models. The other part is abstracting away the headache of managing all the infrastructure and potentially stitching together multiple models together into an easy to use product. And the third is like very robust APIs that are easy to use by developers. I'm kind of curious, if you fast forward 5 years into the future, how does the balance of differentiation and value prop shift across those 3 components? Like, which get commoditized, which become more important for the business?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that in general, one thing that's overlooked, I think, is like distribution. And I think distribution is really, really important part for any technology company. So like what we think about when we think about our competitive advantages and what we focus on a company, there's like certainly the technology, but then there's also the distribution, right? So like people need to know that we exist. They need to know to come to us. We need to like, there's so many Twilio competitors, but like if I ever need to go send a text message, I still to this day like just default to Twilio, because it's just like in my brain as the tool that you use when you send a SMS. And I actually don't even know, like I know of some of the others, but I don't know, like, is Twilio more expensive? Like maybe I would find that out if I deployed Twilio at scale, and then I got like $100,000 bill, and I was like, oh shit, I need to look into this. So we really need to work to become like the tool that's just preferred in the technical community, and that's really difficult. But that's like something that we need to try to accomplish, and do that through really earning like the trust and respect within the developer community. So that's, and the broader technical community, a big part of it. When I think about our product, I think, we'll definitely see like the cost for automatic speech recognition just continue to come down. Those models will get more performant. People want to deploy them at larger scale and process larger volumes of content. So we'll be able to do that at like a more efficient way for large scale deployment. So like that will for sure come down. And then I think like the reason why we focus on use case specific models once there is product market fit is to be able to, tell customers like, hey, if you just need like a summarization model for like title generation, you don't need a 7 billion parameter large language model to do that. Like that can be accomplished with something lighter weight. So like we've got this API and this model that can solve that problem for you. So yeah, I don't want to go over my time too much, but that's how we think about it broadly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. We had one last question. Were you good, or we can keep it reasonably quick?
Thanks so much. So yeah, just curious what makes a successful partner in terms of the teams, especially in those operational use cases like trust and safety, or I don't know, maybe you guys do some copyright stuff. I'm curious how, having worked with those teams, who do you look to on the inside to make you successful when you're managing risk?
When we go and work with like enterprises and product teams, yeah, I mean, we really like to partner with product teams, I guess is really the answer. Like when we go into a larger company and we're selling into a larger company, it's like, helping them understand what use cases are possible, like trying to understand what they're trying to focus on, what their priorities are, and then how we might help them get there. So I guess it's like they kind of qualify themselves maybe, because if they're not, if we usually find they're pretty leaned in because we can help them go a lot faster. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
I think I was just differentiating between like product and customer focused teams versus more the ops.
Like internal ops teams. Yeah. 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 We usually find there's like, yeah, they're definitely different than like your shipping user focused product, but there's usually like product minded people in that space, like even it's like a technical program manager or something that we're usually partnering with from the companies that we work with. But it depends. Sometimes it can be like engineering managers. It really depends on the projects. I think right now larger organizations sometimes are like still confused, like who's going to manage this AI project, so it does vary. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks.
This is
Yeah,
terrific.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.